Millions of malaria deaths over the past 15 years have been prevented by the use of insecticide-treated mosquito nets and indoor residual sprays. But it's an ongoing battle, exacerbated by mosquitoes developing an increasing resistance to insecticides. The Product Development Partnership, IVCC, is integral in bringing a new generation of vector control products to market, with an ambition to eradicate malaria by 2040. We sent Jonathan Gibson to Liverpool to find out more.
Using indoor residual sprays and insecticide-treated bed nets has led to a dramatic reduction in malaria transmission across much of sub-Saharan Africa. Vector controls are clearly working, but for how much longer?
One of the big challenges in malaria elimination is insecticide resistance.
Sherwin Charles co-founded Goodbye Malaria, a charity with a bold ambition to eliminate malaria by 2040.
Malaria right now requires much more resource than is currently available in country for elimination. So in a resource-restrained environment, it is very, very important to get the new products at the right price to allow us to effectively use them. Chemicals where we know there's no resistance, and we check for that.
But developing new products for the developing world has meant finding a new market model, which relies on some of the world's biggest chemical companies setting rivalries aside to share resources.
IVCC is a product development partnership that's entirely focused on bringing novel vector control solutions to market. They really only exist to deal with what you might call is a failed market, or maybe a challenged market. So that means markets that do not react to normal business principles. So the return on investment would be too small, the amount of investment in R&D would be extraordinarily high, and it's extremely unlikely that a private organization is going to make a real return on its investment over a short length of time.
At the Liverpool insect testing environment, these mosquitoes are being used in research funded by IVCC to test levels of insecticide resistance. A new generation of vector control tools are urgently needed to stop the fight against malaria taking a step backwards.
You've come up with a number of scenarios.
Yeah, this is the do-nothing scenario, and you can see that Africa 2040 doesn't look great. And then we have a number of scenarios going forward, which takes us to scenario 6, which is by far the most ambitious. And that basically says how if we layer 3 major interventions and ask companies to invest time and money to work on next generation nets, to work on extra long-lasting indoor residual spraying, and to get involved in the development of ATSBs to deal with outdoor transmission, we have this fantastic opportunity layered in with drugs and layered in with vaccines to make an enormous impact, get very, very close to elimination of malaria across Africa.
The benefits of trying to combine things is that we can firstly further reduce transmission and therefore reduce the probability of resistance spreading further. We can also look a little bit more cleverly about how these interventions combine and target. So one thing in particular we take into account is not just what impact they would have in a given setting, but if we have limited resources, which is typically the case, how we could best distribute those resources to achieve maximum impact. We build essentially computer simulation models, and in doing so we're trying to take a mathematical approach to understanding how transmission occurs between the mosquito and human host and how the parasite is sustained between those two populations.
Fludora Fusion is a new vector control tool which was developed by Bayer and brought to market with support from IVCC.
Bayer has been partnering with IVCC for over 10 plus years. It's a very collaborative partnership. What we do is bring our knowledge and know-how from the ag industry. We knew that if you were to bring 2 unique modes of action together, it would be a resistant breaker. That was the development of Fludora Fusion. We also have a great knowledge of the regulatory and the process and collaboratively work across large spaces of academia, industry, and also with NGOs to solve problems.
The fight against malaria is not yet won, but through partnership working and collaborative engagement, success will be measured by the impact of new interventions on millions of lives.
I think it's just changed the conversation, created a totally different platform for discussion where we can get companies to not behave competitively, but work towards a common goal, which is eradication.
We can thank IVCC and the Bill Melinda Gates Foundation for bringing us all together.
So our legacy is not about the business we create, it's about the lives we're able to change.